Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Unmuted by GosuGamers. In this show, we talk about everything esports, including topics and subject matter that may or may not be covered, enough. But today we're gonna talk about mainly Dota 2, right? Any major that just finished like literally less than a day ago. My name is Freddy, and I'm here with Div and Christy. How's everybody? Hi. You guys have enough sleep?
Good morning.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
are all still under the WePlay effect, mesmerized.
Yeah. Okay, so first thing first, let's talk about like major, right? I mean, the any major that just concluded and everything. The first thing that I want to talk about, of course, is like kind of like a review or report card, overall, how do we feel whether any major did? Is it a good major? Is it the best major ever? Or no, there's rooms to grow and everything. So I want to talk about that. So what do you guys think about the overall team and adaptation? Like we spoke about this, in last episode. Well, we were all very hyped about the anime major, about the anime and everything. Did they do enough in your opinion? You want to start? Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely did enough with in terms of production value, and I'm actually happy and pleasantly surprised to see that they didn't abuse the AR technology, and they actually had a stage set up with scenography and everything that would looked amazing actually. And even the players, sometimes you would see them when they were making the stage entrance that they were looking left and right. It was like, oh, okay. So yeah, they definitely delivered what we expected them to.
I think
Christy?
production value. I mean, I think TI or anybody will have trouble topping what they've done. But I think even just content-wise, they really put out some really fantastic content. I mean, the hype song, the gangster banana. I don't know, but it worked. It did. It was hype. It really was. The content was just all over the place. It was a big range. They did fantastic with content. They did amazing in the production value, which I don't think anybody thought they would do any different. But to go as far as even they integrated all of the kind of anime storyline effects into when it came to the playoff stage, maybe of course the group stage and wild card was a little less, but when it came to the playoffs was phenomenal. I mean, team spirit running in with the whole Naruto run and all of these kinds of things. The teams definitely got into it. They felt it even without spectators. WePlay was able to kind of overcome that gap when there is no spectators, and that piece that's missing in terms of the thrill and the excitement and the hype behind it. I think they did an amazing job, and I think that even TI will have a tough act to follow, unless of course WePlay gets it.
I certainly hope so. But yeah, I mean, I agree that they definitely did a lot, if not more than enough. Especially, I mean, since we're talking about adaptation, we have to talk about the opening ceremony, right? The whole 5 minute clips of like, setting up the story for playoffs. How they everyone just came into this like anime Dota continuum, like a weird alternate reality and like some wacky storytelling. But yeah, I think it's amazing, and the way they showcase the stage. That's how they review the main stage, and I thought that's really amazing. And I personally, because I like physical sets, I like stage design and all that. And for them to think of like unusual ways, for example, like having the ramen store as one of the panel, and then they really utilize all the talents that they have. So because they know that they have a lot of them, so why don't they just let them have the stage and just play and like to their potential. I thought that's really really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, all their transitions, everything that was on the stream, was so smoothly executed. It's not just that they had a beautiful stage and they had a good idea on how to work this panel, and the players interview, that they were like players looking just somebody that's coming to buy a ramen, and by the way, if you're here, let's talk some Dota, what just happened there. But what was I saying? Wow. Yeah, it was
the connection,
beautiful.
yeah.
The connection, right? So the fact that everything was thought through, was not just random, or it wasn't just, okay, we have this beautiful stage setup, this beautiful theatrical setup, and we have these beautiful people, so let's just try to combine. And no, everything was a story, and that's what WePlay excels at, and they did it again beautifully.
Yeah, I really love the team intro for every team. I mean, this is for the playoff, of course. Like, when they come out, you have like all the anime, like the intro graphics. Some of them, they're in like schools, like PSG, LGD will be like a football stadium as their background, and then all the graphics with the anime song. I was just loving it. I thought they should just clip it separately in a playlist on YouTube or whatever. I'll definitely just go back to rewatch and just find some of the nuances and details. But there's actually a lot of details. Like, for every players, every club, they do have like all those mini text and like what call that, like Easter eggs that you can actually unearth.
And I think that, Div said about the execution. I mean, in every aspect, the execution was flawless. They had to evacuate the hotel because of the bomb threat near the mall or something that was nearby. And it was so smooth. It was like you didn't even know that like this was this big major disruption that had just occurred. Whereas in previous events, this would have been an entire day's worth of a delay, or, some other kind of big teams tweeting about how horrible it was done, and they had to stand outside and, do these things. Like it was just so smooth. It was like it didn't even occur if you didn't see that tweet, and then even, we don't have spectators and we can't do things, but hey, here's digital autographs from all of the teams that you can download and we're going to give to you, and like just everything about it was just flawless. So really big props to them. I of course, we're speaking from a perspective of the spectators. Of course, teams may, I'd like to hear a little bit more about if there was anything that teams had complaints about or something, because that's, they're the ones that it affected more in that sense. But from a spectator point of view, from a production, from, an event type of standpoint, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And even from the teams, I mean, we don't know much, or not, we didn't get to talk that much with the teams this time because we are in the Corona times and everything. But usually at other events, you would see a tweet or two from someone that something wouldn't go well. They would complain about the schedule or about something that happened on the road to the venue. Or this time around, even a player got food poisoning, and still Nigma was positive on Twitter and all the socials, saying this is a great major, So you gotta think that something was very right done on their side as well. I mean, they surely enjoyed their time there. And I watched March's winner's interview after wasn't the winner's interview, sorry, loser interview after the lower bracket. Yeah. And he said, actually, he was asked, do you have any shout outs to your fans, to Taiwan's fans and everything? And he said, no, actually a big shout out to WePlay, because they are allowing us to stay a little bit more here just for the practice, to get the scrims done, because of course it's Corona times. And he said it's very hard for them and for any other team actually to set up a boot camp. So WePlay actually let them stay a week or 10 days more, which is also very, very nice time from them. And probably not many other tournaments can afford to do just that.
Singapore major.
I was gonna mention something along that line, but you just awesome, yeah. But yeah, I like that we brought up the bomb threat, we brought up the food poisoning or the minor hiccups, right? Like all these hiccups or mishaps, right? When it happened in some other tournaments, sometimes it could be detrimental. Like it could really upset, or if not, like change the mood of the entire tournament. But for me, I thought like, or at least for this any major, it really felt like they really uh they overcome it pretty well. They control it pretty well. Like even like when we had to reschedule the Nigma game due to the food poisoning, like the talent, they were controlling the situation. They were telling us, they were informing us like almost every single detail. So we were aware. It's very transparent. I think the process. That include the I think just during wildcard, if I remember correctly, the remake between Secret and Nigma as well. Like yes, they were clueless, but at the same time they were also very upfront. They were very transparent, so we were aware of what's going on. Although that particular decision may not be the best decision, but that's not their call. That's Valve call, right? To
Yeah, that
make
was
in that,
Valve
yeah.
who they had to get in touch with and made that decision on how that was going to be handled and done. But, I think it speaks volumes. Yes, they have deep pockets. I mean, reality is that not every tournament can organize something as spectacular as WePlay, because if they're just starting out, or if they have obviously less budget, I mean, you're not going to be able to problem solve by chartering a private jet to China to take all the teams, if you don't have the finances for that. And obviously that limits then what you can do to fix a certain situation. But it also, like, that is the case, and that's true. But their team, like their entire team, as WePlay Holding, is just shows how well coordinated they are, how well prepped they are, how much communication they have within their different departments to be able to take on and tackle these things with so much fluidity. Like it just, okay, we need finance to do this, we need player managers to go here, and we need this, and they coordinate it all. And that is a level of teamwork that I think, especially interdepartment wise, that is the only way that this could have worked, even whether they had the deep pockets or not, or anything. Like, it really is, they have a very well-oiled machine, and they have a process that seems to work for them on how they coordinate. And I think that is going to carry them so far.
Yeah. I'm also particularly impressed by the moderators on Twitch and some of the streaming platforms, because you can see that they were really on top of everything. They were informing everybody about things, and like they were controlling the crowd as we
So the
go. Yeah.
moderators were actually told to step up and don't hesitate, don't feel uncomfortable banning people, especially there was a lot going on, especially in the beginning when Effie first came out.
Yep.
How Twitch chat is. I'm 12,
Yeah.
by the way, so here's my
Mm.
silly immature statements. But they said to the moderators, do not hesitate, don't feel like this will be something that will disrupt, say, our popularity or our viewership. Don't worry about that. Somebody says something inappropriate, ban them. Don't think twice. And they gave that power and that permission to the mods, which is really they're walking the walk, not just talking the talk. A lot of organizers will say, oh yeah, we take a stand on this, or we don't tolerate X, Y, and Z. But where are they showing it, or how are they doing it? They did that, and I think that's really commendable.
Yeah, since you brought up Effie, let's talk about the talents as well. Like we have so many great talent this time. Of course, there are some that are better than the rest. There's some good pairings or whatever. But yeah, let's talk about that. Any thoughts on like who did best, who did better? What kind of pairings do you like? Yeah.
Well, I will let Pandora praise Effie, because she got to actually talk to her this event a bit more, and yes, it was awesome to see her and for WePlay to give her this chance. But what I but something else that I liked a lot about this major is that we got Cinder and then Sans went back as a duo. And the chemistry between them, and the fact that they know each other and they do this together for such a long time, just reminded us everyone that don't just. A lot of tournaments try to to change the pace of how the panels are going or how the cast, and they try to change the pairings between commentators and analysts a lot in the recent times. And seeing Sinderen and Sansven doing so well together, because they have years of doing this together, it was, oh God, finally finally something that works flawlessly. They had the chemistry, they had their jokes, they kept the casting fun and also very professional, with all the insights, and I like that a lot. Of course, Ode Pillow was just a new talent, as new as
Yeah, only
Tigaf or
yeah.
Efi,
But
I love
that
that.
that was amazing in itself, that they made this pillow and they had it up there. They didn't shun or say to Odie Pixel, okay, well, you can't come, so tough luck, see you later. They said, okay, how can we incorporate this? How can we still provide? How can we still keep you a part of this? And there's a, I guess, an inspiration, motivational businessman speaker. You probably heard of Simon Sinek, who does, the Start With Why and Leaders Eat Last and books like this. And one of the things that he talks about in cultures of businesses is about having this, like, kind of like this circle of trust, right? Where you will thrive if you feel comfortable. That so many reasons that teams specifically fall apart is because you're always watching your back. You're always worried about yourself. Like, how do I persevere, or how do I make sure that I'm not going to be the one kicked, or I don't lose my spot, and that obviously impacts your delivery or what you put out, your products, things like that. But when you have a culture where the trust is the core principle, you're able to experiment more, you're able to be more relaxed, you're able to be yourself, and then work together because you're not threatened by the person next to you. And I think that the fact that, like, okay, Odie Pixel couldn't come, he wasn't kicked from the event, so they still were able to put out an incredible pieces of content, with him there and keep him a part of it. BSJ, he got a bit of some slack on Reddit for being too biased and everything. I think he dealt with that and handled it well in his responses and on the panel and things like that. Cinderin and Sunsfan, they're amazing together, and WePlay didn't step in and say, well, we want you to be like X, Y, and Z, or we want you to tone this down or take this different approach. Rich is completely different of a host than, Shiva or even Tsunami. Everybody was able to, and Effie had talked about this a bit herself in the interview, everybody was able to be themselves. Everybody felt comfortable. Everybody felt like they wanted to do their best because they didn't have to worry about, am I going to get cut? Will I not be invited back? Will they take me off and not let me do the playoffs or the finals? Or they didn't, at least didn't come across, and based off of their outward appearances, they didn't put that in place. So there was a sense of comfort and there was a sense of security. And I think that that's how come the talent was able to really shine for each individual one the way that they can shine best. And I think that is what creates a memorable panel and casting then, because nobody is being forced into something or feeling uncomfortable or restraining themselves in a certain way. So I think that was really obvious.
Yeah. Just a quick plug. If you have yet to have the chance to check out our interview on Effie and T Governor, check out on the link in the description. Yeah, just go check it out. Go read up. I think it's very great. It provided a lot of insights to their journey as well as the major itself. Yep, you check it out.
Keep in
And
mind,
both of them, this was their first major. So yeah.
It was their debut, and perfect probably setup for them to make such a debut, because, as Pandora said, feeling safe and relaxed at your job just enables you so much more, and it showed.
Okay, any other things to talk about in regards to productions before we move on to talk about the teams and the games themselves? Oh, good.
No, I forgot that there were even teams. I was so focused on talking about the production. I
Okay,
thought that's what our podcast was.
yeah. I mean, we have to talk about the teams. Some of them, definitely
course.
not all of the teams, but yeah. Okay, let's start by talking about like the best storyline, right? I mean, throughout the whole major, what is your personal like favorite storyline? Like, yeah, I'm sure there are many. There are many storyline here. There are many teams that qualified for TI, and there are some that outperformed themselves. Some that were really disappointed. So yeah, which
Let's start with the good.
that's not a good one. Let's go. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, to me, T1 and Team Spirit are the biggest pleasant surprises and the biggest stories of this major. If T1 plays 10% better than what we've seen at this major at TI, I think they will do very, very well. It's amazing how much this team grown in since January to now, and I think a lot of, as I said in the previous podcast where I said I watched their progression, but I wasn't really sure if they can deliver on LAN. Again, I think everything that's happening at T1 right now, it has a lot to do with March and the way he puts this team together and backs them up on the stage.
I think
Just an
March,
amazing run.
Yeah.
I think March probably at this point should be the most sought out coach there is. Every team he pretty much touches, it feels like he turns them around into these championships. I mean, I don't know what his secret is, but maybe OG or something should contact him. Just
coach
saying.
him or something.
Well, they already have an MVP Phoenix coach. It's just so amazing that these MVP guys have found their way to put their print into the professional scene even after retiring, because I think MVP Phoenix did change a lot about the way Dota was played back then, and now these Hin, Sambi, March, they are all coaching absolutely great teams, and I'm pretty sure they have something big to say in those teams' victories and success.
Well, and it'll be great to see another Korean organization heading to TI. In esports world, Dota is completely devoid of Korean presence, compared to other divisions, which is odd, in itself. And Koreans are kind of the overlord in a lot of the different games. So it's interesting that these MVP players are being such amazing coaches who came out of Korea and are able to, to kind of propel their teams forward and make, like you said, Div, this mark on the Dota scene. But I just wonder, where are other Korean teams then and our other Korean players? If this is our sample pool we have, they would be all number one. So it's an interesting thing to kind of explore, I think.
It's a bit hard with Korea. Back when MVP Phoenix and MVP Hot 6 were so good and were our overlords in Dota, I got to talk a lot with them and with their manager back then. And if you remember, MVP had this problem of underperforming online or in qualifiers. They wouldn't be at every event. But when they were coming on LAN, they were just crushing everyone. And that, to me, was like a big mystery. And I asked a lot about it, and I've talked to them. And I came to understand that the fact that South Korea doesn't have a server, for Dota 2, affects a lot of their training. They always have to play high ping. They have all their choices are always Chinese teams, and they play on very strange hours with them. And the fact that overall Dota is not a thing in Korea, right? Because League of Legends is king there, is not really inspiring for anyone to start playing this game where you don't have a server and you have to play with huge latency as a beginner. you know.
So do you think T1 scrimmed against China?
They actually said, March said in the interview that China was everything that they screamed with. Their scrims were with China, and you can see in their play style, and they were so close to what LGD did in terms of play style and how they approached the game and how patient they were with some things. At the same time, I saw a bit of the good old days of OG in Taiwan's performance. Seriously, like that game versus Vici Gaming, I think it was. In the upper bracket, yeah.
T1 is definitely, I think, one of the positive storyline coming into
versus Team Master. Sorry, versus Team Master.
Yeah, I think the other one, like Div said, is Team Spirit that came in and was like really kind of got your blood pumping, made you want to root for them. They're just this young team that like they seemed super excited to be there. They were hyped, you know, they came in, you know, to the playoffs, and they came in as the top seed for CIS, and they were undefeated. But I said, I'm not so sure how that'll translate internationally once they get to the big stage. And they really proved me wrong on that. I was so pleasantly surprised to see how far they actually did go, and to see they were aggressive, but they were also calculated. They were patient, you know, they didn't overstep a lot of times. And I was really happy to see them progress as much as they did. They were, it was good to see.
It was almost like an elevated CIS Dota style, you know. The aggression was there, the craziness was there, but as you said, knowing when to retreat, knowing when to capitalize on some mistakes. The fact that we're so aware of enemies' cooldowns, and I'm not just talking about, okay, they ravaged, we can go now, but on micro level, you know, somebody there, it was clearly keeping track of everything and communicating very well. And I'm super excited to see them in qualifiers now, because they actually did, if you come to think about it, they did better than Virtus Pro, which are at the second major coming 7-0 and doing pretty much nothing in the playoffs.
Yeah, I was gonna say they just felt like a more tactical version of Virtus Pro, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually I said Team Spirit was the top seed, but it was Virtus Pro. But in my mind, it was Team Spirit because just of their caliber of playing, like it translated into being, well, they had to have been the top coming in, because like I had this in my head that they were, you know, they were the top, they were for CIS, because I mean, like while we're talking about Virtus Pro, I mean, there's one of our negative storylines to go to, you know, not quite what we were hoping to see from them. So
any other positive storyline? Maybe Nigma. I mean, the fact that they came all the way from wildcard and all the way to upper bracket in playoff is still something, although they couldn't do well after that.
Definitely, I mean, it was expected somehow to see them on a different level. I mean, as I said, as we talked in our first episode, I doubt that it was easy for them to kick Weha, to kick Omar, because of how much history they have together, and they truly are friends and they truly care about each other. And I don't think that was an easy decision. But if you go with that decision, it means that it surely changes something, you know, game-wise. And I expected them to do better than the previous major. I'm a bit sad that they didn't get to top 3. I had high hopes for them to just make this major TI appearance from the PC points, but it is what it is, and good signs anyhow, definitely.
It's going to be a tough road in the qualifiers for Europe, for sure. Because, I mean, Team Niga showing up the way that they did was fantastic. Liquid struggling as usual, just kind of missing the mark, is going to have to work on things. Boxy will be back, but it's not like when they had Boxy, they did, you know, a whole different kind of ball game. They still had that same struggle in Singapore. So it'll be interesting to see what unfolds. And then of course OG are going to have to like do something. So
Yeah.
I think Gambit did as expected. I don't think there was any surprises there, even though it was
Maybe
sad to see them go out. I don't think that anyone expected much more from them.
I think they even did a bit more than expected, 2 stand-ins a week before the major, right?
Yeah.
In those circumstances where your captain and your drafter and your star mid laner say, hey, I lost faith in you guys, just good luck at the major, or do whatever, we don't care anymore. And they tied all their series in the wildcard. That's pretty big for given the circumstances. Again, they took a game from Secret.
Secret. Well, that was another disappointment there. I mean, we said maybe they won't show up. They don't have much on the line. They don't care. But I put too much emphasis on the puppy pride, I guess. I thought he'd not let them go out the way that they did, but it's disappointing.
Yeah, no. To me, the biggest 2 disappointments, unfortunately, are Virtus Pro and Alliance, and I don't think. I mean, there are disappointments just because the major history repeats. They go out without victories. Alliance was eliminated at the first major with 0 wins in the group stage. They had like 4 ties and 3 defeats or something like that. This major, they again, they go without points and everything. They just lose 2 times in a row in the playoffs, and they go home or they go back to practice. And these teams were, the top seeds in the DPC. And it makes you wonder, because the disappointment for me, it comes from both the format of the DPC in general and happened with these 2 teams. Those are teams that are going to TI, and Beast Coast as well. They are going to TI without winning a single game on the major stage. Something is wrong with this system. This is
the point distribution is really skewed, I think. I don't like it. I think that there's too much emphasis on the league, and you can go to, like you said, TI without doing much of anything in the major, and I am slightly kind of disappointed in that. But at the same time, I was talking to Garter about this the other day. The distribution for the teams per regions this time around, I think, is actually more accurate and true to what is kind of deserving at this point. So I don't know how much is because the point distribution being heavily on the league play is allowing that to happen or not. That's something, to kind of look into a bit more. But the distribution for the teams that are so far going, and I mean, China will have 5 representations, right? China deserves 5 teams representing at this point. I mean, we can see that. EU is going to have, what, 3? They might have even only deserved 2 at this point. Like the South America is starting to grow, and this is rewarding that. They're giving them, they'll have 3 spots, and they'll have 3 spots, and they're growing, they're evolving, and I think that's a huge reward and a huge boost for them to be able to have 3 teams. And I think it sends a really fantastic message to the other regions, get your act together and everything. So I think that in the end that worked out, but I agree that it almost feels too wonky to have people that are going that, you can win a major and maybe not even get enough points or something, in a sense. It's
thank God that thank God that actually Thunder Awaken, Thunder Predator kept their TI spot, because Nigma couldn't get to that top 2. But at this point, to me, the run, Thunder Predators run and OB Neon's run at the first major, at the Singapore major, are much more memorable than what Alliance and Virtus.pro did at the major, and even Beast Coast, who unfortunately couldn't be at the first major because,
one, right?
yeah, and at this one they just did pretty much nothing in the playoffs.
No ping as well. Yeah, it was like literally.
Yeah, but no ping is not a team qualified to TI, right?
Yeah.
Right.
These three to me are just at this
Yeah.
point. If you are someone who hasn't really watched the DPC season, or even if you watch the DPC leagues, you gotta ask yourself, why are these three teams at TI? If you look at their major results, that's all, major results, and I think LAN performance should be more important than whatever you do in a league system where you have one match per week. Because again, in the leagues, of course, you can go undefeated or go top 2 just because you have so much time to prepare for your opponent. You know exactly who you will play next week and how to prepare for them.
I think it was in Effie's interview, she had said that the teams who came in thinking that they could play the same way that they played in the leagues were sorely disappointed and did the worst. And then the teams that were able to come in with a completely new play style or a new approach or adapt to what was going on are the ones that were able to advance further. And I think it's like you said, these teams knew who they were playing, they prepared, their style won them all of those games, to be able to be there at the major, and they thought that maybe they could just kind of cruise along doing the same thing, like, hey, we took top seed, we know what we're doing, we've got our kind of groove down, and yeah, that didn't work for them.
The fact that you have, I also think it has a factor on everyone's way of thinking about themselves when they come to LANs, because after 6 weeks of staying in your own region, doing so well, like, I don't know, Virtus.pro, let's take this example, because they were 7-0 in their league twice, right? I think it isolates them from what's really happening in the scene, in the pro scene. You gotta think about yourself that you're good when you're 2 times 7-0.
Right.
It can't be otherwise, and you come to the major full confident with your strategies and everything, and oops, we forgot about China. Oops, we forgot about Southeast Asia. What are they playing? What are they doing?
Confidence or arrogance then?
No,
a bit of both, I
it
guess.
might be a mix. It might be a mix, but I don't think this Virtus.pro lineup it's arrogant.
No.
I don't think yet.
They're a young team. If anything, it's probably their inexperience.
Could be, yeah. I think they didn't really actually choke a lot in the gameplay. I would say it's just they were outdrafted a couple of times, for my personal point of view, and maybe preparation as well. Yeah.
I don't remember who on the panel pointed out and said, but Virtus.pro could really benefit from having a coach, somebody to kind of lead them, guide them, help them with the drafts, and then, trying things out and seeing things. That's kind of where they're lacking. The rest of it is there for them. They just really need to kind of tighten it up and make it a bit sharper.
Yeah, a coach and an analyst right now at these majors, when the pace is so fast and you need someone to get those stats fast for you to know exactly what happened in 3 matches before with that team, because again, Team Spirit have Silent, great veteran of the CIS scene, and again, I think that made the difference for them, having Silent there, having someone to consult with, to lean on him, when they needed an extra pair of eyes or an extra thought on something.
Okay.
And again, it goes to the teams that can't afford, potentially some of these coaches or things like that might end up making it at the major. Thunder Predator was able to get now Fear as a coach, and we'll see how that benefits them. But these teams like No Ping and things like that, they come with not much financial backing and stuff, and it's something that hurts them. So it'd be nice to see them being able to have more access to these teams that make it through, having more access to, like you said, the analysts and coaches and everything. It's necessary at this point. It's not a luxury.
Okay, with that said, now let's move on to our final, like I would say, topic or final segment that we're going to talk about, which is Road to TI. You know, like major is done and dusted. So now we have 12 teams that have secured direct invites to TI 10, and we are only left with 6 slots from the qualifier. Okay, so based on these 12 teams, like we mentioned about, you know, some of the teams that doesn't feel like they, I wouldn't say they don't deserve it. Maybe because of the system, it felt like they don't deserve because they weren't performing so well in the major, but doesn't mean that they don't deserve it. But now moving forward to the 6 slots, you know, from the qualifiers, like which region will be the most contested? I think it's pretty clear that EU is definitely, you know, super packed with a lot of teams that are dying to just like pinch on that one slot. But yeah, let's talk about EU first, I guess, since we just started like that.
Well, OG or Liquid, you know, one of these teams are not gonna be there.
It's funny how
I mean, you're talking Nigma, OG, and Liquid. You know, two of these teams are not going to be there. Actually, like 2 out of those 3, and these are 3 teams you almost expect to see. So I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, it speaks, and the fact that actually you have in the teams coming from lower division who might just deliver the upsets. I mean, you have things like Tundra, upper division actually, Tundra, Viking GG, Hellbear Smasher even, Brain, Level Up even. All these teams can deliver the upset.
Yeah.
You didn't see much of them because most of them played lower division this season.
Yeah.
But you can't overlook them if you are OG, Liquids, you know, Nigma. And at the same time, for me, it's just so fucking, it's just so funny that OG manages to get all their fans lose all their faith in this team again. I mean, it's the 3rd year when, as an OG fan, you have to say, we won't make it this year. It is what it is. It's the 3rd time in a row that happens to OG, and I'm afraid to count them out just because of that. It would be 3rd year in a row when you say, nah, the OG can't make it, you know, and I don't want to do that again.
I don't think anybody wants to do that, and I think everybody's afraid of that, you know, going in. They have, even though their performance has been subpar, they've had numerous roster changes. I think they still have the target on their back in terms of all of these teams that are going into the playoffs in the EU region. They're all thinking, we have to make sure that we get past OG and take them down. Like, they're still the ones that everybody is probably looking at that have been preparing for the last 2 weeks, you know, or so.
Hopefully they know how to prepare for a full OG roster, because it's unclear a bit right now who's going to play with OG in these qualifiers, because Anna didn't play the tiebreaker in the DPC League. No updates, Madara, official updates were made on that. Was Madara there? Is Madara playing with them again? Sumail is not with Liquid anymore, right? They just announced that Boxy will be back, so, and he was OG at some point. You don't know.
Okay, so EU stack is gonna be interesting. It's gonna be super intense. But how about other regions? Let's just say the 2nd most contested region, China?
Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia. Yeah, actually, right. Southeast Asia will be quite stacked because you know, the one team that's qualified right now is just T1, and you have TNC, you have
TNC,
Fnatic,
OB Esports.
Yeah, there are many teams that are still waiting. I don't even know if like
and with SMG,
yeah, the good SMG stand a chance. With I guess mid-1 still there.
You have Execration who were at this major in the wild card. Even Motivate Trust with Jackie, Fearless Masaros. I mean, if you think about first season, they actually dominating, and all the teams kind of destroyed them with stealing players from them, you know. And now they are back, maybe with some vengeance, maybe not, but definitely for me, Southeast Asia, it's looking also scary.
Yeah. It's like There are some roster changes as well, right? If I remember correctly, Fnatic has a new offlaner. Yeah.
He has, they have Death,
Death,
which
yes,
is
to
great.
replace Chuan. Yeah.
Mhm.
They should have done
And-
that last season, actually. Right after Singapore Major, they should just pick him up. Yeah, but oh well.
Yeah. I
Then you
think that.
have, go.
Go ahead. No, go.
I was just about to change the region, so if you
Oh,
have
me
to add.
too. That's all
Let's
right.
change it then. Let's change the region. Let's change it. Yeah.
I was going to NA. Where are you going? Where were you going,
I
dude?
would say Undying, and I don't
Yeah.
see NA as being super competitive right now in the qualifiers. I mean, four Zoomers have a decent chance, but Undying to me, and again, this is Dubu, another MVP player. Dubu doing great work in with the captainship of this team, and
Yeah.
I
I
can see
think
them going to TI.
NA is pretty much just Undying and four Zoomers. Yeah.
And now you have EE back on Sad Boys.
Oh yeah, and they are
But
fighting yellow and black. I mean, was it black and yellow? Yellow and black? What's the yeah,
black and yellow, yeah.
black and yellow? Yes. Yeah. Uh,
But
I mean,
sad
you've
boys
got-
also have to find they have to find an offlane or a mid, something. They are 4 men right now, so
Yeah.
What
I don't know.
how about China? China's
China is also, I mean, you have Elephant there
Mhm.
fighting for. It would be very strange to not see these players at TI, and not strange,
yeah.
but also such a big fail of an organization debut, or again. All these Elephant players, you have to think they were LGD and Vichy gaming players, and the shuffle there in China affected these two organizations, clubs so much when it happened, and to see LGD just doing so well after that, being, I don't know if they could have got a better mix of players after losing their absolute best in maybe FY, and now they have two wings players with Shao 8 behind. But yeah, coming back to Elephant, it would be very, very disappointing not to see them at TI, but at the same time, they have eHome and RNG fighting in these qualifiers,
and Elephant is pretty far down on the list in terms of even what they were able to do as far as DPC points and everything. They're like all the way down, when you look and see. So they started out the DPC seasons, I think both times, they started out the season pretty strong, and then they fell apart. Each time. So, and we said this in the last podcast that they were one of the more surprising in terms of disappointments, that didn't make it to the major. And I think it's the same here. I think that they might end up maybe starting out in the qualifiers even strong, and then we'll see them just fall apart again. But we have eHome and RNG, and I think that they can easily make it through as well.
Yes, yeah.
Uh,
Yep, go ahead, Div. Yep.
if we are, I mean, in China, to me, are just these three teams that are fighting for one spot compared to Europe, where you have a lot, or
Right.
even Southeast Asia. And I would say that CIS is even more stacked than, or more in contention, than China right now, because in CIS you have Team Spirit, who we saw what they can do in this major. You have Gambit looking for some revenge or something. You have Navi who did you have Navi who did all this drama, and Hellraisers actually with Resolution, Kuman, Zayak.
Strike, yeah.
Yeah.
Twinstruck, I don't know if this is their qualifier.
Oh yeah, they might not be.
It might not be just because of the names they have before them.
Correct.
I just feel like overall, CIS is just, they're more focused on the drama, I feel like right now, than they are on playing. Like, to me, it's more about, when I think of CIS right now, I'm thinking about like what is happening there now, what's going on there now versus their play style or how well they're doing or how stacked they are. It's actually, when you were brought CIS up, I was like, oh yeah, we haven't talked about them, have we? Like they just kind of disappear from your mind in a sense, like they're just not standing out at all. Where in previous years, this was a region that was like, really hot, really aggressive, really assertive. And right now I feel like it's all about drama instead. And I
Yeah,
think
so
that pulls away
then
from it.
it's drama and this team spirit, which are truly a breath of fresh air from this region, and
Yeah.
hopefully they can stay fresh and stay away from the drama and just focus on
Yeah,
the
and
dots.
I'd
pick up
love
the
to see
last lot.
Team
Yeah.
Spirit get to TI and see how much they grow and are able to, evolve between even the major and TI. Um, like you said, I hope they can stay away from the drama because I'm actually pretty curious if they even get to TI. Will we see them fall into the same patterns as the rest of the region after TI? Or will they be able to kind of maintain their integrity a little bit more than the others because they had gotten rewarded for it, so to speak?
And the last region, SA, South America. I guess the biggest contender would definitely be No Ping. And
Right.
I think the other names that come to my head were SG Sports and Infamous. Yeah. But even then, I
Yeah.
think that region should be No Ping.
hmm
Looking at the contenders. So what do you guys think?
It's tough in South
Yeah.
America.
Mm,
It's one region that it's very hard to predict.
yeah.
And to be fair, I mean, Infamous, they this organization was the first to qualify to a Valve major
Right.
back in 2015. Then they were the first to go to TI, and somehow most of those players are Beast Coast now.
hmm
But they still, Infamous, they still have Papita, which is one of their, the region veterans, and they can still probably do something crazy in these qualifiers just because the people behind this team have the experience and probably know how to motivate a roster.
I think that's the big thing for South America is the support that the players or the teams get. That's what's going to make or break it. Do they have access to the boot camp, to being able to play together, to practice together, where they don't have ping issues, where they don't have these kinds of things? Are they getting some financial support to kind of relieve a little bit of a burden because of just, I mean, COVID is still so bad over in so many of the countries in South America, how many are sick, how many are quarantined, how many have family members going through certain things. So I do think that it's very volatile right now, but I think that it's proven that the region as a whole is benefiting from, Valve's attention that they're giving them both in the leagues and being able to get to events a lot more. But it's going to be on the shoulders now of the organizations and what they can do for their teams and what they can provide for them, I think is where we'll see who shines most to come through. No Ping, SG Esports, and Infamous are like the three teams that'll probably have the most support, and they're the three teams that are probably next in line for gaining access to TI. So
Okay. So to wrap up this episode, just have one last question. So do you think that WePlay will be the one to organize TI, or is there a chance that it's gonna be someone else, or what's your quick thought on this?
WePlay already had a small part in TI9 organizing things on the broadcasts side of things,
for the Russian stream, correct?
And
Like the
of
after show or
course,
something?
yes. Of course, PGL was the big partner for Valve at TI9, and to be honest, I mean, although WePlay definitely shown or proven or auditioned successfully for anything that should involve them with TI, I don't know if it feels kind of on short notice. I know, I mean, TI is just 1 month and a half or 2 months away, and probably a lot of things are already ongoing with organizing this tournament. So
I would be absolutely shocked if with only a month and a half, Valve says, okay, now we're choosing who's going to be in charge.
Yeah,
I mean, okay,
true.
we all know Valve's sense of timing is maybe not the best, and we all know that they can sometimes just shoot from the hip, and do more reactionary things. But I really think something, especially TI, after 2 years of no TI, they've already got this kind of in place. And I think when they decided to keep it in Sweden, they already were lining up with who they had. If they hadn't already decided last time, and then when they decided to keep it in Sweden, then they decided to keep with the same people that they were going to be, the organization that they were going to be running with. I wonder, I wonder if DreamHack has any chance, only because of being the locals. Like it's so much easier for locals to be doing things locally. I wonder if they'll have a piece in it, or if we'll see them outsource it to PGL, or hopefully not One Esports, or one of these other tournament organizers.
Well, to be honest, I think it's PGL just because they have such a long history with Valve and organizing TIs and handling things for them. And if you think that TI has been in China 3 years ago, 2018, when that was 2019, sorry. So TI was in China and was still with PGL instead of Perfect World. I mean, to me, back then it was already a signal that the commitment between Valve and PGL it's bigger than we might think. Just because when you do a TI in China and your main partner is PGL, not Perfect World.
Yeah, that's definitely the logical solution, right? But at the same time, with this WePlay Animajor, I'm sure, like, whoever, let's say if it's not going to be replaced in any capacity, like whoever that's taking this job has to, like, shit in their pants, or like pressure, right? Like they have to reach at the very least match that level of quality. Yeah, otherwise the fans won't be happy. Yeah.
Well, Valve has the money to do it. I mean, we're talking about a $40 million prize pool, and that's only 25% of what they raised, in order to, with all the battle passes and everything else. So they certainly have the money to be able to expend in. I mean, we can have live acrobatics happening, over our heads the whole time. It won't even faze them, to be able to do something like that. But I think maybe we'd even see a partnership like we did with One Esports and PGL, because I'm wondering about the one, we still don't even know for sure. I mean, Shiva said not TI this year, but we don't even know for sure if there's going to be an audience or not. And two, we still have the pandemic going. So there's a lot to be said for what is the country, Sweden's rule set, their guidelines, what can and can't be done, all these kinds of things that are going on. How much, how much time do people have to be in or out or testing and everything. So I know PGL can maybe run the event, but I think they might need a hand in having more of a local influence because of things like the COVID situation and everything. I don't know, but
let's hope for the best. Let's hope that at the very least we can get something that's of a certain quality. Not so much of just the broadcast production, but the entire like content and all that. Yeah, I think we deserve to have a good TI. After skipping a year.
I think any TI will do at this point for any Dota.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
I'm afraid. I'm a bit afraid that whoever handles TI this year will think the same. It's just whatever. Just give them TI and they will be happy. I don't want that to happen.
Okay. With that said, I think we are done for today. Thank you, Christy, and thank you, Div, for sharing your thoughts and all that. So for those of you watching, if you like what you're hearing, seeing, whatever, please subscribe, like, comment down below. Let us know what you like or dislike about us or the show. And there'll be a lot of links there as well in the description for some of the articles that we have covered before in the future. And yeah, in anything, we'll see you guys next time.
See
All
you.
right.
Bye.
Bye.